Just before we start the episode, here's a trailer for another podcast. If you like what you hear, go and check it out.
Do you often find that you need a distraction from everyday life?
Do you like true crime, conspiracy theories, paranormal stories, and other weird, dark tales?
Well, tune in and turn up Weird Distractions Podcast, where we, your hosts, Christy
And Alex,
bring you a weird distraction to help you get through the work week.
every Sunday morning you can find our show on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Good Pods, and more.
So, grab a snack, get comfy,
And make sure to lock those doors. Need a distraction? We got you.
Hello and welcome to Crime Divers. I'm Laura
And I'm Jill.
and join us for this week's episode called The Imposter.
Hello everybody, welcome back.
Hello.
So today we are doing a case called The Imposter.
Ooh, well that doesn't give any clues about where we are, so where in the world are we today then, Joe?
We are in Texas, USA.
Ooh,
So, shall we dive in?
let's dive in.
So this is a little boy called Nicholas Barclay. He was 13 years old. He was born on the 31st of December 1980.
Mm-hmm.
His mum was Beverly Dollarhide.
Dollarhide.
Yeah, that was
random
a funny
name.
name. Yeah. He had an older sister called Carrie. Was it Carrie? Yeah, Carrie.
Carey.
Yeah, and an older brother called Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived in San Antonio in Texas, USA.
Okay.
So Nicholas wasn't exactly a good kid.
Right, okay.
Sometimes he was violent towards his mum, and occasionally it was so bad that the police were called to
Indeed.
calm the situation down.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a delight.
Yeah. He skipped school a lot, and he had a juvenile criminal record for robbery and threatening one of his teachers.
Oh.
So, yeah, it definitely sounds like a delight.
Oh God.
He had 3 tattoos, bearing in mind he's only 13.
3 tattoos?
Yeah,
13?
Three tattoos which were carved into his skin with an unsterilised sewing needle by another kid. They
Oh.
weren't legal tattoos.
No. Well, I would hope not.
Um,
Do they say what kind of tattoos?
no, which I thought was a bit weird because of how the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
When needing a description of him, you would have thought that it would say what the tattoos were, but I
Right.
never saw anything to describe the tattoos.
Maybe they're just like scrapes on his
I did see a picture, and I think he had one in his arm. I don't know if it had like a love heart on it or something like that. I'm not
Alright.
sure.
Okay. It's pretty, to be fair, it's not going to be something that's very detailed if it was done by another kid.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, it might not have even been a heart. I mean, I think it was red.
Alright,
So-
okay.
It could have been anything, really.
Fair enough.
So on the 13th of June 1994, Nicholas's mum gave him $5 to go and play basketball with some friends at a park, which was just a couple of miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, he phoned his mum to ask for a lift home.
Right.
His mum Beverly worked nights, so she was asleep when Nicholas had phoned her because, it was during the day.
Uh-huh.
His brother Jason had answered the phone and told Nicholas that he'd have to walk home because he wasn't going to wake their mum up.
Right, fair enough.
But Nicholas never arrived home.
Oh.
So this wasn't the first time that Nicholas had disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
He had run away a few times before, but usually came home the next day.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to be in court the next day, so I think it was assumed that's why he ran off.
Right, okay.
The court hearing was to decide whether he could stay with his family or be sent to a group home, which was to rehabilitate juvenile criminals. And obviously, he didn't want to go
No.
to that, so that's why.
They thought he just ran away because
Yeah.
he didn't want to go to that, yeah. Which
But-
kind of sounds logical.
But it just sounds logical, so I think that's why they weren't too worried to
Yeah.
start off with.
I get it.
But as time went on, he didn't come back.
Right, okay.
So he was listed as a missing person,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I was saying surely the tattoos would have been...
Well, yeah, because surely that his family would have known, or his friends even, would know what was on
Yeah.
it, described it.
You would have
and-
thought that would have been in his description,
Yeah.
the tattoos. But I mean, maybe it was, but I didn't see it.
You didn't
so,
see it.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
So, 3 months later, his brother Jason phoned the police and said that Nicholas was breaking into their garage.
Oh, right. So what, he just turned up out of the blue and all of a sudden he's breaking into the garage?
Yeah, and like when police got there, Nicholas was nowhere to be seen, and Jason said he had ran off when he realised that Jason had seen him.
Right.
Police searched the area, but they didn't find Nicholas and thought Jason had made it up, which is what I think as well.
Okay.
Because surely if your brother has been missing for 3 months and you see him, your first thought wouldn't be to phone the police. It would be to go and approach him and
exactly.
depending on your relationship, maybe give him a cuddle or
Well, yeah,
at least ask him where he's been for 3 months.
Well, that's it, because I mean, you wouldn't want him to think that he's in trouble or anything, because you want to find out why he's ran away. You of course want him back, so you can have discussions about that at a later date. I mean, you just, like I say, you probably want make contact with him and...
Well, yeah, go and make sure he's okay. And
exactly, so yeah, I don't know why you would phone the police.
No, I mean, like, to me, obviously, you're not a boy, but you're my sister.
Uh-huh.
So if you went missing for 3 months and you came back, the first thing I'd be happy to see you, and the first thing I would do was, like, run over to you and give you a cuddle and tell you that I missed you. And
even if I was breaking into your house.
Well, yeah, which is a bit weird that he was breaking into the garage, but...
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah. So... where are we? One day in October 1997, 3 years after Nicholas had gone missing.
Oh wow, okay.
The National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children in Virginia received a phone call from a man who was working in a youth centre in Linares, I think it's called, in Spain.
Right.
They were told that Nicholas Barclay had turned up alive and well.
In Spain?
In Spain.
Okay.
So Nicholas had said that he'd been kidnapped and put into a child sex trafficking ring, but he had managed to escape.
Right, okay. Which, I guess at that point could be logical.
Yeah. So obviously I know the story, so...
Yeah. Carry on.
The family... So obviously Nicholas's family was informed.
Uh-huh.
And it was decided that Nicholas's sister, Katie, would fly out to Spain to identify him and to bring him home. Their mother's health wasn't too good, and they didn't think that she would be up to the flight.
Fair enough.
And Jason, the brother, he just didn't want to go.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was a bit dodgy. I think he was a bit into drugs and things like that. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I don't think him and Nicholas had a particularly close relationship.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
If he's phoning the police when he thinks he sees.
Well, yeah,
so
that's true.
Anyway, so Katie went by herself. So when she got there, Nicholas didn't come out of his room at first because he was worried that his sister wouldn't recognise him after 3 years. But he needn't have worried because she quickly confirmed that yes, this was her brother, and she just couldn't believe that he was alive and well. Because after 3 years, I think you probably would be, well, maybe not assuming that he was dead, but you would have.
You'd be thinking the worst.
Yeah, I think you would be.
Yeah.
So Nicholas had forgotten a lot of stuff about his childhood, which was put down to the trauma that he'd been through. Katie had brought some family photos, and they sat together and looked through them. And she would say things like, "Oh, remember this is the house we used to live in," or "Remember so and so, like you used to play with him," and things like that. And Katie said that Nicholas was really quiet, but again, this was put down to the trauma that he'd been through.
Okay.
So before Nicholas could get a passport and was allowed to return to America, proof was needed that he was definitely Nicholas.
Right.
So his mum had sent photos from home that he hadn't seen before, and he had to identify the people in these photos.
Right.
So he only made one mistake, so he was issued with a passport, and he was allowed to go home to his family.
Okay.
Except it wasn't his family.
I'm just thinking, like, I'm assuming this was not actually Nicholas Barclay.
This guy was not Nicholas Barclay.
I'm hoping that you're going to tell me how it came to be that he decided he was going to try and be Nicholas Barclay.
Yep. Well... Yeah. There's not really a big deal of reasoning behind his thoughts about it, but I'll tell you how he did it.
Right, yeah.
How it happened.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I meant. I just want to know how that actually happened.
How it actually happened, yeah. So from now on, I'll refer to him as fake Nicholas.
Right.
Just to keep the story easier to follow.
I mean, he must have looked awful like him then if his sister was convinced.
No.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but I understand people's appearances can change over the years, but surely I think even if you changed appearance dramatically over 3 years, I think I would still recognise you. Surely.
Well, I would think so, but I'm a grown-up. from 13 to 16,
True.
you're still... But I'll tell you now, he looks nothing like him.
Right, okay.
So,
I need to see pictures of the fake and the real.
well, I'm going to... Right, let's just get on to it.
Okay.
Because, what I should have said at the start, this story is pretty unbelievable.
I like unbelievable. It does sound very unbelievable, because I can't even believe that his sister thinks that it was
Well,
him.
I have to say that when...
Would you not do a DNA test then? If he was asked to prove that it was Nicholas to get a passport,
I knew all these questions would
do
be
they
coming.
not do a DNA test? I mean, is that not
I don't understand
the
why.
the most reliable thing? I mean, I mean,
looking at photos is just ridiculous.
well, exactly.
Especially when she, if you notice what I said, she was when
Yeah,
Katie
she was saying, "Oh, that's so and so."
remember so and so. Remember the house we used to live in.
Yeah.
So
He was gaining information.
but I think there's a reason for that as well from her part. I think there's a reason for
All right,
that.
let's just get on. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're getting
Well,
a
if you
bit...
stop asking me
I
questions.
know, but I'm kind of like, what's going on here? Like, I can't understand now. What's going on?
Right. Well, I'm trying to make you understand.
Okay, right, I'm going to shut up now.
Well, don't shut up completely.
No, I won't. But I need to just shush. Like, go.
Right. Are you finished?
I'm ready.
Right.
Sorry.
So, when fake Nicholas got home, everyone noticed straight away how different he looked.
Okay.
So, he had disappeared when he was 13 and he was now 16.
Uh-huh.
So, obviously, they expected him to look a bit different, but not like this.
No.
Real Nicholas had, like, really light blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and fair skin. This guy had bleached blonde hair, so his natural hair was dark.
Right, okay.
So he had bleached blonde hair, brown eyes, and much darker skin.
Right, okay.
And he also looked a lot older than 16.
Oh, okay. Right.
So the explanation, because obviously people were going to ask questions.
Yeah.
So the explanation he gave for looking different was that his kidnappers put a chemical solution in his eyes to change the colour.
Right.
And somehow chemically made his skin and hair darker so that he would look completely unrecognisable.
Okay.
Which obviously he did.
Well, yeah, because it's not him.
Well, yeah, I mean, like...
But I don't know, like, would you believe that as a family? I mean, I've got to say, you mean, maybe you would, because I'm not, you know...
But I think there's a reason why they believed it.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, he spoke with a French accent.
So he was French,
Yeah.
but he was in Spain,
Yeah.
and he's maybe a guy from Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, this is getting quite ridiculous
looks
now. You
completely
sure you didn't make this up?
Well, maybe somebody made it. Maybe I'm thinking it's true crime and it's not at all.
Okay.
So he said that his kidnappers wouldn't let the kids speak English because obviously it was a child's sex room,
Yeah.
so there was a few of them.
Okay.
And the kids weren't allowed to speak English. They had to speak French and would be punished for speaking English.
But again, I mean, I'm not saying like that. To me, I suppose if somebody's been taken away and they're in a different country, I mean, things like that might be true. I mean, you could say, okay, that's maybe possible.
Well, obviously they thought it was possible, so...
Well, yeah.
But despite all that, the family just seemed to look past it. And he moved in with his sister Carrie. I don't know why he didn't move in with his mum, it didn't say. He moved in with Carrie and her husband and kids. He started going to school and made friends. He would hang around with his cousins and he just basically settled in.
Yeah.
The only person who didn't seem to be bothered about him was his Nicholas's brother, Jason.
Right, okay.
He didn't even come to see him when Nicholas first got to fake Nicholas. First got to San Antonio. Eventually, he did see him, and Jason just said good luck to fake Nicholas, then left.
Oh, so he knows something then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So
I hope this is like resolved. Like we're not going to be.
it's
I'm not going to.
no, it's
Okay, just go.
you just try to get to you try to get to ahead of the story. Like
I know.
I'll just let me tell.
I know, but I have all these questions in my head. I'm like.
I know, it's understandable. I get you.
Okay.
I knew you were going to have loads of questions. So the FBI wanted to meet fake Nicholas for an interview.
Okay.
As they want to hear his account of the kidnapping, as obviously they want to find these people,
Of course.
to punish them and save the other children that had been taken as well. The woman from the FBI who interviewed him said she straight away had suspicions. She said he looked older than 16 and he had a shadow of a dark beard So she could tell that, you know, at
All
16
right.
you're not going to
No.
have that. Especially when you're meant to be blonde.
Yeah.
And he just seemed really nervous and uncomfortable the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Fake Nicholas told the FBI that he was taken by overseas military, that he was abducted in a van, and then he was flown abroad.
Right.
He said he was kept in a room with other kids. They would get chloroformed, not
Chloroform.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. We've
They
had
would
this
use
before.
that. Yeah, no, they would use that on them and
Knock them out.
knock them out. And when the kids woke up, they would be somewhere else, but they never knew where they were.
Right, okay.
But I think they were like just in different places around about Europe.
Mm-hmm.
He said that they were subjected to sexual abuse by high-ranking military. He also said they were tortured. His right hand was repeatedly broken with a baseball bat. I actually thought, it didn't clarify it, but I was wondering if he would say that because he was maybe wrote with a different hand to what Nicholas did. Maybe Nicholas was... Maybe he was left-handed and Nicholas was right-handed, so if he says, oh, my hand has been broken, I'll have to write with my...
Well, I kind of wonder, unless you're going to tell me, but maybe not, but if they have doubts about him, would they not like do an x-ray? Because surely you'd be able to tell if maybe the bones had been broken in your hand and maybe it was lying.
They mustn't have.
Okay.
Right, do you want to be... You should be in the FBI.
I know, should they? I would love that job.
They were... so his right hand was repeatedly broken with a baseball bat. They were given insects to eat. His left foot was broken with a crowbar, and he said that the children were experimented on and they had needles put in their eyes.
Lovely.
Yeah, remember this is him making it up.
I know,
so
I
this-
mean, obviously lovely, I know it's not true, but it doesn't sound nice. If it was.
No, I don't. So he said that every night they were raped by men who were American, Mexican and European, and they were often burned. They were beaten for speaking English.
Right.
He said that a door wasn't shut properly one day, so he managed to escape. Just miraculously,
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
hadn't shut the door and it was an outside door.
Oh.
So he
right,
managed to get out. So after running for a while, he realised he was in Spain.
Oh, now how did you realise you're in Spain?
Well, I don't know, maybe there was signs, like road signs or...
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Right.
As it was raining, he took shelter in a phone box, and that's where the police found him. So that's his version of events.
Okay.
So I'll tell you how he got caught first, and then I'll tell you the real version of events.
Right, okay.
So, there was this private investigator called Charlie Parker, and he was contacted by a production company called Hard Copy, telling him about this young boy who had been missing for over 3 years and had turned up alive and well. They wanted to do an interview with him, so they asked Charlie to track him down.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie tracked down Nicholas's mum Beverly first, and she wasn't keen at all.
Right.
But when he spoke to the fake Nicholas, he was really excited about it. And he later said that he wanted the media attention because it would make Nicholas more real and it would make more people believe that he definitely was
Right,
Nicholas.
okay, yeah.
You know, if he's in the limelight, like, it's going to make more people believe it.
Fair enough.
The FBI weren't happy about this because they had repeatedly asked fake Nicholas not to speak to the media.
Right, okay.
Because if what he had said was true,
They didn't want to alert the
yeah, they were
trackers.
looking for this child
Yeah.
trafficking ring, so they would, if they saw the interview on TV, they would know about the investigation, so obviously they weren't happy.
Yeah.
But fake Nicholas, they did the interview anyway, but I suppose that's because the abduction.
Ooh,
it
is
was,
this, can I see this online?
what, the interview?
Is it not taped?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see it. What are you looking at me like that for?
Well, I just thought 'cause it was like a media company, so I thought that maybe it was like a documentary type thing, no?
Well, there's other stuff you can watch, but I didn't watch that particular one,
Oh, okay.
but because I don't know if it was there. But there is other stuff that you can
okay.
watch. Yeah, so he wasn't. He knew that he wasn't putting any investigation at risk, so obviously he went ahead and done the interview.
Uh-huh.
So Charlie Parker, the investigator, he had taken fake Nicholas to the interview, and from where he was sitting, he could see fake Nicholas, but he could also see a photograph of the real Nicholas.
Okay.
And he kept looking back and forth between the two, like obviously trying to see the similarities.
Uh-huh.
And he noticed the difference in eye colour straight away. And Charlie said the hair stood up on the back of his neck, and he just knew that something was off. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So he asked for a photo that showed Nicholas's ears. So he had read about a method that Scotland Yard had used to catch the guy who killed Martin Luther King.
All right.
They had caught him at Heathrow Airport and identified him by his ears.
Oh, right, okay.
Because you can't change your ears.
True.
Your ears are sort of like fingerprints, like they're unique and...
Unless you played rugby and you get a cabbage ear.
Well, yeah, maybe, but...
apart from that,
Yeah, you can't change your ears.
No.
So, Charlie went back to his office and he uploaded the 2 photos on his computer where Nicholas's ears were visible, and he zoomed in on them and they were completely different.
Obviously, because it's
So,
not him.
Charlie knew that there was no way that this guy was Nicholas Barclay.
Right.
So that's basically, you know, how they found out, just by his ears.
Yeah, okay.
So Charlie actually thought at first that the imposter was a spy, because why else would someone claim to be a missing teenager? Like, what reason could he possibly have for that?
Yeah.
But, he phoned Nancy Fisher at the FBI and told her that the guy wasn't Nicholas Barclay.
Right.
But, like, even though she'd had her suspicions at the start, I don't think she really believed what Charlie was saying, probably because the family had
accepted him.
Yeah, they'd identified him as Nicholas. And surely they wouldn't, like...
Surely they would know.
Yeah. And if it wasn't him, they wouldn't have accepted him.
Yeah, so what you think.
But she decided to fly fake Nicholas to Houston to this children's hospital. There was a some sort of specialist there. So she told him that it was because of the trauma he'd been through and they wanted to help him by talking to someone about it.
Right.
But it was really just to see if they could tell whether or not he was Nicholas. So Nancy Fisher, for the FBI, she actually took him.
Right.
So this doctor, Bruce Perry, said as soon as fake Nicholas started talking, he knew that something wasn't right. He was trying to find out more about the people who abducted him, and they spoke for quite a while. Fake Nicholas basically, he repeated everything he told the FBI. But the doctor said that he just didn't act like someone who had been through a horrific experience.
Right, okay.
But what really stood out for him was fake Nicholas's accent. He said that fake Nicholas just couldn't speak English without an accent. He just wasn't capable, like...
Right, okay.
He could speak English, but it had an accent. Nicholas was, real Nicholas. He had been brought up in America until he was 13. Then he was abducted for 3 years. So the doctor said it's just not possible that he wouldn't be able to not go back to speaking English without an accent. Like, it's only been 3 years.
Yeah, I know.
He said he could guarantee that this kid, like fake Nicholas, was not raised in an English-speaking family. There was no way.
Oh.
So he was convinced this person he was interviewing was not Nicholas Barclay. So the doctor reported his findings to Nancy, and she called Nicholas's sister Carrie to tell her. She told Carrie, "Don't worry, we'll take care of it. Don't come and pick him up from the airport, because this stranger will not be coming back to live with you. We don't know who he is yet, so it could be dangerous, So just don't worry about it. Don't come and pick him up. I'll take it from here," kind of thing.
Okay. But then did she not question herself because she identified him as?
Well, maybe.
Okay, carry on.
When fake Nicholas and Nancy got off the plane and walked out of the airport, there was Carrie. She came to pick Nicholas up.
Even though
she acted as if her and Nancy had not had that full conversation,
right? And
she was excited to see fake Nicholas. She was give him a cuddle, asked him how his trip was.
All right. And I bet Nancy's been like...
Nancy was like, what the hell? She was like, what do I do now, kind of thing. So she went and found her phone. And she phoned the US Attorney's Office and explained the situation and sort of said, what should I do? So the US Assistant Attorney just said, just let her take him home for now. It hasn't been dangerous so far.
Yeah, okay.
Neither of them, he doesn't know that he's been rumbled. So
he still thinks that he's all good.
Yeah, so just let it go for now.
Yeah.
So Nancy said she just didn't understand why Carrie had welcomed him home like he was her brother. When Nancy had told her that
he wasn't.
Specifically said, he is not your brother. But Carrie said she didn't remember Nancy putting it in those words. So I have no idea what she thought that Nancy meant.
Oh yeah, but surely...
How can you not understand that?
Well, exactly. He's not your brother.
So, I don't know about her.
No.
Anyway, eventually, Nancy decided they needed DNA samples.
Well, hello. Should they not have done that all along? God's sake.
This is what I just cannot understand. I'm like, how can you issue somebody with an American passport judged by photos, by him pointing out photos like DNA.
even to me, even if your family is identifying you, surely you would still do a DNA just to. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a police expert or whatever, but me would do that. Like, I think I would do that. Like,
Well,
regardless.
I just don't understand why they didn't do that. I mean, like, to give somebody an American passport is a big thing.
Because he's been missing for 3 years, you know what I mean? So you obviously want to 100% confirm his identity.
Well, of course, this guy could be a terrorist or anything, that you're giving him a passport.
So to me, you would automatically take, like, DNA from him and fingerprints and whatever else.
That's what makes it so unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, that it's not the fact that he actually decided to try and impersonate somebody else. It's the fact, it's how he managed to do it.
I know. Like,
It's unbelievable.
it really is. I don't get that.
No.
Anyway, so they eventually did the DNA.
Well, no,
Well,
they haven't got to that.
sorry,
She
but-
decided that they needed to do
Yes.
DNA.
Okay.
So she went to see Nicholas's mum. Beverly said, "He's my son. I won't provide blood samples for DNA." She lay down on the floor and said, "No, you can't pick me up and you can't make me."
Okay.
And the sister Carrie said, quote, "We didn't need to prove who he was. We knew who he was," end quote.
Well, obviously he didn't.
They were adamant that this was their family, which I found very strange.
Very, very strange.
So Nancy said, quote, "I no longer saw them as a grieving, victimised family. I saw them as a very questionable family.
Yep.
There would be no reason for them to accept a stranger into their lives unless there was something to hide.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only reason. Something was being hidden and I didn't know what that was," end quote.
Yeah, I'd start to be getting quite suspicious by now.
Definitely.
I mean, I think I would have been suspicious earlier on, but definitely by now.
Definitely. So, as neither fake Nicholas or Beverly would cooperate, Nancy had to get a search warrant to get the blood samples.
Right, okay.
They also got fake, so they did get the blood samples.
Uh-huh.
And they also got fake Nicholas's fingerprints and palm prints and sent them to Interpol and the embassies to see if these prints matched anything they had on record.
Mm-hmm.
Fake Nicholas was becoming more agitated and angry, and Nancy was sure he was going to run away. And if that happened, they would probably have a hard time finding him again. So Charlie Parker, the investigator, started following him.
Mm-hmm.
So if he did run, he would give her.
Yeah.
So on the 3rd of March 1998, Nancy got a call from Madrid in Spain and said they had identified the imposter and they faxed the records over to her. So, the imposter's name, so eventually we've got a name.
Uh-huh.
It was Frederick I'm not sure if it's Bourdin or Bourdin.
Borden?
Frederick Bourdin.
Mm-hmm.
And was wanted by Interpol.
Right.
He was 23, not 16.
Mm-hmm.
French,
Uh-huh.
which we discovered.
Yes, because he had the accent.
And he had impersonated people many times before. I think that must be why he was wanted.
Right,
Because
okay.
it didn't go into why he was wanted.
Right, okay.
So, Frederick Pierre Bourdin was born on the 13th of May. No, he wasn't. He was born on the 13th of June. I don't know why May came into that. 1974 in France. Surprise, surprise.
Funny that.
His mum was 17 when she had him and he never knew his dad. He was raised by his grandparents in Nantes until he ran away. He said he never felt loved and felt like a no one. So the first words that I heard him say from his from his mouth, obviously.
Obviously.
No, but I mean I heard him speaking. I didn't read it. It was actually him speaking on video.
Right.
So the first words I heard him say was, quote, "For as long as I can remember, I wanted to be someone else, someone acceptable," end quote. So I don't know why he felt unacceptable. Maybe because of his parents. I don't know.
Right, okay.
So now I'll tell you how he managed to become, like how it all sort of came about.
Yeah, yeah.
I take it that's what you were asking
Yes,
earlier.
this is what I want to know. How it actually happened.
Right. Well, it was it was kind of an accident to be
Okay.
He didn't mean to become him.
Oh, okay.
I'll just start with
Yeah. Carry on.
So one night, Frederick, I'm assuming he must have been living in Spain at the time for I don't know what he was doing there or I don't know anything about that, but he phoned the police.
Right.
So he said that he had came across a young boy who was sheltering from the rain in a phone box. He seemed scared and he wouldn't talk to him, and could the police come and help him? So when the police arrived, it was Frederick that was sitting in the phone box. So obviously he'd phoned acting as an adult.
Right, okay, yeah.
But he was actually sitting in the phone box pretending to be a young boy.
Yeah.
So the police took him to the Missing Children's Centre. They were asking who he was, but he wouldn't talk. But then they started talking about like taking fingerprints. So he decided he had to talk because he didn't want them finding out who he really was.
Right.
Because he knew that he wanted to impersonate somebody at this point.
Right, okay.
So this was the point in him doing it. So he told them that he was American and that he had ran away.
Okay.
He asked if he could contact his parents himself, as he didn't want a stranger telling his mum that he had been found.
Right.
So they agreed. You're not going to believe this. But as it was the middle of the night, it would have to wait till the next day. So Frederick said, just leave me in the office overnight and I will contact my family tomorrow.
Why would you leave him in the office?
Yeah. I can't believe they actually agreed to do this, and they left him alone in the office.
So did
all
he go
night.
on like the computer to search for a missing person?
Sorry,
Sorry, did I just ruin that?
No, just stop trying to guess.
Sorry, I like to guess. Right, okay, go.
Frederick called different American police stations pretending to be a Spanish officer, because remember, he's back to being an adult. So he was saying that they had found a kid, they were sure he was from America, but they didn't know exactly where in America.
Right.
He said the kid could have been missing for a few years, and surely someone must have been looking for him. So he was told by American police, well, we've got hundreds of missing posters on our walls, so we can't go through like every single one.
Yeah.
But we'll give you the number for the missing and exploited children in Virginia.
Right.
So Frederick phoned them and told them that they had a kid here who was American, about 14 or 15 years old. The lady asked him for a description, so he just described himself.
Okay.
Because obviously he was just hoping to just...
Well, fit into somebody's description.
Yeah, basically. So she looked for missing kids with a similar description and somehow managed to come up with Nicholas Barclay. No idea how.
Okay.
So she faxed Frederick with a missing poster of Nicholas so he could see if this was this
But how
kid
the hell
they
did he
had.
even know the numbers for that? Or was it...
Because he was in the office.
Alright, well, they might not like the numbers.
So obviously they've got all the numbers in the office.
Oh, okay.
It's a kid shelter.
No, but I mean, how did he know like their number, like the fax number for her to fax through to him?
Well, maybe it's written on the fax. Or maybe they knew the fax number.
Maybe. Alright. Okay.
You asked.
Well, I
Too many
like to
questions.
understand it entirely.
Yeah, but like, what difference does it make how they got the number?
Because it makes a difference to me.
Okay. Well, I can't help you there.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they faxed the missing poster through. It was a black and white picture, so Frederick looked at it and decided, yeah, this is who I'm going to be. So he phoned the lady back and said, yeah, that's him, that's who we've got Nicholas Barclay. But then later, he was actually shown a colour picture of Nicholas Barclay, and he panicked, because he was like, he didn't realise that Nicholas had blonde hair, blue eyes and fair skin, so he liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But the police went looking for him and found him, so he couldn't have got very far.
Mm-hmm.
So once he realised that Nicholas' sister was coming to get him, he realised he had come this far, so he may as well just
Try his luck.
Yeah, give himself a shot. So he dyed his hair blonde. He had seen on the missing poster that Nicholas had the 3 tattoos, so he found a girl in the children's shelter that did tattoos and got her to copy them.
Mm-hmm.
And so brings us back full circle to when Carey came to pick him up.
Yeah. Or identify him.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, so that's it. That's basically the whole story told. That's how it all happened. That's how, he's been caught and everything like that. So Frederick was convicted of perjury and fraudulently obtaining a passport, and he was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
3 months later, he attempted to steal, after he got out of prison, he attempted to steal the identity of a missing 14-year-old boy called Leo Bally until DNA proved it wasn't him.
Okay.
You'd have thought he'd have learned, eh?
Well, yeah.
In 2004, he was in Spain, claiming to be a teenager whose mum had been killed in the Madrid bomb attacks.
Right.
When police found out, he was deported to France. In 2005, he claimed to be a 15-year-old Spanish orphan and spent a month in junior high school in France until an administrator at the school realised who he was after seeing him on a TV programme. He married a French woman called Isabelle and they had 5 kids together, but in 2017 she left him for another man.
Alright.
And as for Nicholas Barclay, he's still listed as a missing person.
Oh, so he is still missing.
Yeah, that's why I said it's not quite wrapped up.
Right, okay.
But when Frederick was in prison, he told the police that he thought that Nicholas's mum and brother had killed Nicholas.
Right.
And hid the body.
Uh-huh.
That would explain... See, that's what I was saying earlier, like, I think they were kind of hiding something. It would explain why they took him in without question.
Yeah, okay.
Because that would mean no one was looking for the real Nicholas anymore, and they would have gotten away with murder. Charlie Parker, the private investigator, he thought Nicholas was buried in the garden of the house that Nicholas had lived in with his mum and brother.
Right.
The current owner allowed Charlie to go and dig in the garden, but he didn't find anything. There was a homicide investigation into Nicholas's disappearance, sorry, but it was closed due to lack of evidence, so he's still never been found.
Right.
And the family knows that they're blaming Jason, basically, but Jason died from a drug overdose.
Oh, right, okay.
So they're kind of like, oh, well, Jason's being used as a scapegoat because he's not here to defend himself.
Uh-huh.
But I just think because he wasn't interested in Nicholas coming back.
No.
To start off with, Jason phoned the police 3 months afterwards, so it was like he was saying, "Yeah, he's here. I've seen him."
To make it look like he's still alive.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then when he did come back, he said good luck to him.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say good luck? That's the only thing that he said to him.
Yeah.
Because I think he knew that wasn't
his
brother.
It couldn't possibly be him.
that couldn't possibly be his brother. I'm not sure about the mum.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm like, but why did the mum and the sister take him in?
Yeah.
I think they all know.
Yeah.
I think...
It does sound a bit like that, because why else would, if somebody that really doesn't look like him, and they took him in without question, treated him like their son, why, yeah,
why would they
unless
do
you have
that?
something to hide.
Yeah, I mean...
But then I kind of wonder, like, if that is right, so say they did kill him, and then this guy's turned up, like, I'm thinking, what would they be thinking? Like, where's this guy come from? Like, we've killed him, and all of a sudden, 3 years later, somebody's playing him, like, to me, if I was Jason or his mum and I had killed him, I'd be thinking, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, well, what's happened? Like, how's this happened?
I know, but then they're probably thinking, well, we'll take it.
Well, yeah.
Because, but I think my opinion, obviously, I mean, I don't know if it's right, but I think that Jason killed him by accident, and I think that's why the family's covered up, because it was an accident. I think it was intentionally.
Yeah.
You know, if it was anything more than that, I don't think they would have covered up. I think maybe because it was an accident.
Yeah.
They've just covered up
and
because...
maybe because it was such a burden that when this guy comes out of nowhere, they think, oh, that relieves it a bit, because they can...
We don't have to worry now because nobody's looking for Nicholas anymore.
Yeah.
So, because he's here, and that's why they've accepted him. And
but you do wonder, like, in private, like, how could they be with this guy? Like, were they, like, totally going along with it that it was his brother, or did they ever have conversations of, well, we know you're not him, but...
No, they didn't, because he's accusing them, isn't he?
Oh yeah, it's true.
He doesn't know.
But then you must be have like some kind of really strong will to be able to go along with that if you fully well know that it isn't him.
I have no idea. It's bizarre.
It is very bizarre.
It is really bizarre, and I just think that they must have had something to hide. I just think that poor Nicholas is not around anymore, and
yeah, no, annoyingly, I now do wonder and would like to know what did happen to Nicholas. Like, if he is indeed like genuinely missing because he ran away, or is he sadly...
Yeah, but like if he was genuinely missing, if the family didn't know anything, then I just can't believe that they would take in a stranger.
No, that's somebody that's so obviously not.
That's
him.
so obviously not him.
By the sounds of it.
And like with Carrie as well, you know, like after her getting the phone call and saying that's not your brother.
Yeah.
And she's still like, no, he is my brother. Like.
Yeah, it's like she didn't want to stop the lie because she knew that if she did, then you know.
I mean, they probably panicked when it was realised that if my theory is right, when they realised that he'd been caught, then they probably started panicking because they were probably thinking, oh my god, are they going to start looking for Nicholas? Like,
again, yeah.
you know, they're going to start looking, maybe they are going to start looking for a body.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's the story of The Imposter.
That's going to irritate me now.
Oh, for God's sake. Well, you can watch a film. There's a film.
Is it?
It was actually on Netflix before, but they took it off Netflix. But I found it on YouTube, and it's the whole film,
Right.
and it's called The Imposter.
Right.
I suggest you watch that.
I'm gonna. Although I'll probably still be more annoyed after I've watched it, won't I?
Well, maybe, but The Imposter actually it's like it's film length,
Right.
but it has the people. It's got Frederick in it. It's got the family in it. Apart from Jason, obviously, because Jason died.
Yeah.
But it does, and I really think it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
Because I watched it a few years ago, and that's what inspired me to watch, to do this case now, because I remembered about it. I was like, I watched that film a while ago, so I watched it again.
Uh-huh.
So, The Imposter on YouTube. I would definitely recommend anybody give it a watch.
And whilst you're on YouTube watching that, you can find our page and follow us on there.
Well, you can subscribe to Crime Divers podcast
You know,
while you're on there.
Exactly.
I like that plug there.
Yeah.
But if you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, we are...
crime_divers_pod.
We have a Facebook page.
Crime Divers Podcast.
You can email us at...
crime_divers_pod@outlook.com.
If you would like to support us on Patreon. Last time, or whenever I mentioned Patreon the last time, I said that the prices start from £2 a month. It's actually £1 a month. So the prices start from as little as £1 a month. So if you like the show, if you could give us a 5-star review, it helps the show get seen.
We would be much appreciated.
It would be really appreciated. So thanks for listening.
And we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.